Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Atomic Salt Live Show. This is the weekly show where we discuss everything in the tabletop hobby world. I am joined by my buddy, Casey. Casey, how are you this week?
I am doing outstanding. How are you doing, Alan? It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, we kind of missed the last 2 weeks. Now it was my fault. I was out of country.
Fleeing from the authorities.
No, it was for spring break.
A father with a shotgun.
Possibly.
Do you owe any cartels money?
Possibly.
Okay. We probably shouldn't talk about this in public then.
But no, I was in Italy the past couple of weeks, so I'm back and ready for everything I missed.
We got lots to talk about.
Nice.
So let's start with you. It's probably going to be the easiest. What have you done in hobby this week, Alan?
Let's see. This week was a little bit trying to play catch up with everything, but I was able to do a paint night last night with the local painters here. Let's see. I was able to work on Tariq Mansouri a little bit. I've just been worked on the armor.
Okay, he's got kind of a nice pale green tone going on there. He's looking very nice.
Yeah, and then got the shield breaker here. Got him working.
Now, this is a Kings of War model, right?
Wrath of Kings.
Wrath of Kings. Okay. Yeah, I saw Tom Shadle painted one of those, or something similar to that.
Mine looks better.
I agree.
But yeah, this is my test mini for the paint scheme, and yeah, he's looking pretty good so far. But that's a bit for me. How about yourself?
Outstanding. I finished up a couple of smaller minis from Super Dungeon Explorer. I finished up the Calico Kate and the Sebastian. So they don't look as good as your stuff, but they're board game pieces. Also, it's been kind of fun. You know, I've been cranking on Infinity models for the last year or so. You know, just really trying to up my game with every model that I do. And so these have just been kind of fun just to kind of step back a little bit, you know, and say, and let's just change up the style, have a little bit of fun, clean out the palette. You know what I mean?
It's always a good thing to do. Just change it up. Get yourself out of that rut.
So, I wouldn't call it a rut, but definitely just changing gears a little bit. So, remembering that there are other miniatures out there other than Corvus Belli.
So yeah, I mean, anything else? I let you free for 2 weeks, so
I spent money. Does that count? I'm anticipating getting back into Infinity a little bit more than I have been, so I picked up a bunch of stuff from Arsenal.
Really?
So yeah, so I picked up a packet of templates. They're still in the mail, otherwise I'd show them off. So next week we've got a package of templates, some of their new silhouette markers, some order markers, basically all the stuff that I've been, kind of borrowing and stealing off of everybody else.
One thing I learned is the euro to dollar has dropped significantly. So if you want to order anything from overseas, in the Eurozone, now's the time to do it.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
last year I ordered an Infinity pack, a tournament pack, 39 euros. Cost me $85. This year it's only going to cost me $45.
And so what are you buying this tournament pack for, may I ask?
This is in preparation for a local convention we're doing here.
Okay. Great. But yeah, speaking of Infinity and the Arsenal stuff, one of our local game stores is going to try and start hosting hopefully a regularly occurring Infinity night. and I'm going to try and go out and support that the best that I can.
Hey, and Infinity 5, the Army Builder, that's just finally updated this week. So you can actually build a list instead of cutting it out of paper.
I prefer to write it down in barely legible pen and then smear that pen all over the paper so that list could turn into anything I wanted it to. But yeah, let's talk about Infinity 5 real quick, huh? Shall we?
Yeah, it was great. Well, it was a little rough on opening it up to the community. First few days it was a little twitchy, but yeah, now it's working perfect. It boots up fast.
It does. It boots up much faster. I think that's because we switched over to, or they switched over to HTML5 versus Flash. Doesn't have to load up quite as much. But so what do you think of the new Clippy?
The your little agent, that your anime agent girl.
Yeah,
It, it's interesting. I mean, as far as tutorials go, I mean, it's like, all right, whatever. It's not as feministic as a lot of stuff that Corvus Belli has been claimed to do.
true. It's not cheesecake, which
Yes.
I kept worrying about it going total cheesecake while I was looking at it at the office. I had my hands up like next to the screen, like I didn't even just go, no, I'm not looking at this. I swear, close it, close it, close it. But I will say she got turned off almost immediately.
I mean, it's like tutorials for video games. You do it once, you're good.
True. Um, it looks a little different, but it feels pretty much like Army Builder 4. So, which isn't a bad thing. I thought it was a great program that worked really well.
Yeah. The only thing I had issue running into was when I tried to put Scarface and Cordelia
Mm.
on the list. I could not figure out where to click, and it turned out to be the blank one with the numbers on it.
Yeah, and it seems like a few of those other ones because I was looking at like Mirage 5 and Zoe and Pywell. So anytime you have kind of those combined units, they're still working those kinks out because you don't get the profiles on them either.
Yeah, no, it doesn't show up. Yeah, but it shows up on the printed, so that's great.
Mhm.
But yeah, Army Builder 5 runs perfectly well. Little late though for Adepticon, which happened this weekend, but eh, yeah.
Well, the rough thing is that they didn't just miss out on Adepticon. They missed out on uh, Battle on Route 66, uh, and then there was another one over on the East Coast that they ran too.
The Dire States.
It was a Dire States event. For the life of me, I can't remember what it was called, but those were a couple of their big tournaments that they had just come out with.
Well, I mean, you can't. I mean, we both work with programmers. You can't rush programming.
There's a rule where we work, and it says basically anytime a programmer gives you a set amount of time, you double it. I'm thinking about trying to extend that out to tripling it. And it's never the programmer's fault.
Nope. They fix one line of code and that breaks 20 more.
Yep. So, and I'm sure they had plenty of good reasons why they didn't get it done. But it's here now, so it's free. It works. No sense in complaining about it.
Nope.
Have you used it? Have you used it to build any lists?
I built one list so far. Just kind of a copy of an old QK list, and yeah, functioned pretty well. Got all together with the points difference. I was able to add one more Golem infantry into it.
Mm-hmm. So have you got a chance to try out any of the new N3 rules yet? Have you been doing any of Infinity Gaming?
No, I've my past couple months have been focusing on this Italy trip,
Hmm.
and now that that's done, I can game again. I haven't touched dice in forever. Feeling withdrawals.
So the trick with dice, Alan, is you pick them up and then you shake them and then you drop them. Okay? If you do that, you should be just fine.
Yeah, but painted miniatures make your dice roll better.
Only when they're all painted. Because if only a couple of them are painted, those are the first to die. Because everybody knows that those are the important units. Because
True.
nobody paints up the scrubs first.
So, what else have I missed this past couple weeks?
Well, let's talk about Myth, huh? You little tiny game. You ever heard of it?
We pledged for the first one,
Yes, we did. Um,
that was the one that you broke your cherry on, right?
yes, it was. And
And we're still getting miniatures in the mail.
yeah, I think I've gotten everything of mine. Like I was kind of going through and taking an inventory, so I think I'm done. But well, it's hard to tell because the first Myth Kickstarter did very well for itself. If anybody's not familiar with it, it kind of blew up in like its last few days, and it just went crazy.
But that's how most Kickstarters are.
Yeah, but this one they just started throwing everything in, and so it became kind of a crazy good deal. You were almost dumb not to back it and to put in some, a decent amount of coin into it. And we had really good, like all the artwork looked great, all the sculpts looked great. We got a lot of communication early on from Mercs, and then communication started slowing down. And then there was a lot of confusion about what was going on. And then there were delays and other issues.
But I mean, delays are common with Kickstarters. I mean,
No
these
doubt.
are untested, or everything is all written down first, but it's not. I mean, production pretty much screws every Kickstarter we've seen.
True. Um, and I think this was one of those cases where they really didn't know what they were getting into. They let the Kickstarter get a lot bigger than what they probably should have. They hadn't ever done anything like this before. And so I'm not blaming them. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying that there were delays, and I think this was a lot of people's first big Kickstarters. I mean, we'd had some of the Simon stuff. There were Relic Knights, but those were all still kind of being shaken out too. So a lot of people didn't know what to expect from a big Kickstarter like this. But we're all a little older. We're a little wiser now, and so Myth has come back around, and I'm like one of those girlfriends who'd like to spend your money and you finally were able to shake her, you know. About 6 months later, she comes back around again. She's been working out a little bit, saw a therapist for a few of those issues. She's made nice with all your friends. Your parents are saying, I remember her. She was a good girl, wasn't she?
Is that the girl you got engaged to?
So the Myth Kickstarter is here. And we all have to be asking ourselves, what are we going to do about it? So before we say anything else, let's talk. Alan, have you backed it at all?
No. I've gotten the update saying it's live. I haven't actually looked at it.
Oh, so you haven't. Great. So this is going to be your first look at it here this evening. So, um, I just got in on the minimum amount, just so I could, like the $1, so you can kind of catch all the updates going on here. So,
Now, does it have any? So this is what 2.0, or does it have anything to do? Or I should say, for those of us who did the first myth,
Mhm.
does this one work with that?
It will. So, let's start from the beginning. Consider, we think about the base game of Myth that the first Kickstarter was. You can kind of think of that as like your novice level of Myth, with a set of novice level heroes. So this is essentially a sequel to that. And now our heroes have evolved, through the trials and tribulations and the looting of many corpses that they've gone through. They are now a journeyman level hero, meaning that they are a little stronger, a little tougher. They've gained some cool new abilities. What it also means is that we get a choice. Are they becoming a good hero, or are they becoming more of a monster as they are
Oh,
embracing the darkness all around them?
interesting.
So this is a full-fledged sequel to Myth. The character, if you chose to, the character that you've developed in Myth can now be brought forward into these sequels and evolved further. Uh, New adventures, new abilities, all that sort of stuff. Raising the stakes, everything you expect a good sequel to do. This is using the new Myth 2.0 rules. We've talked about those a little bit. Have you had a chance to read those?
No,
So
but from what I heard, it's a lot more um, player friendly.
these are actually usable rules. Um, I suppose if you just went in whole hog with the old rules, you spent all your time on the forums, cruised around Board Game Geek, had kind of a really dedicated crew, and you were really working this game over. You could figure it out on your own. That's not how most of us are. We've all got different games. I've got Myth or not. I've got 40K sitting around. I've got Infinity sitting around, and everybody wants to play those games a lot more than they want to sit down and play Myth.
Well, then Myth is also a campaign, so
Yes.
that takes a dedicated group of people to not be a one-off adventure.
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, you don't want to spend all that time just learning the rules. You want to go out and have that campaign. You don't want to be wasting time. I mean, I think we've played what one game of Myth, maybe two games, and we spent half the time arguing about how the rules actually worked.
Well, because the archer doesn't make sense.
And here's where you're going to like the Archer, because as she evolves into her journeyman level hero, she actually gets to start with one bit of ammo already in her quiver. So you're doing damage right from the get-go. So you gotta like that, right?
That's nice, because, yeah, that was a little crazy to be. No, we got an archer. She's got arrows, but she doesn't have any damage cards, so she can't do anything.
Yeah. So they understood, and they've worked on that. I get the feeling that a lot of the problems that everybody found out with Mercs is just kind of waving their hand and saying, "No, no, 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 no. It's not a problem. It's just because your heroes suck right now. So just buy the next version, and it'll get better."
That sounds like a Microsoft Windows scheme.
So, anyways, let's take a look at the Kickstarter, shall we?
All right.
All right. So, first thing you'll notice, we've still got about a week left to go. So, things are probably going to start getting a little crazy here in the next few days. Uh, but they're already close to $500,000. So, way over their goal. And about close to 3,000 backers. So, let's talk. So, do you remember their Mercs Kickstarter they did a while ago? Mercs
Yes.
Recon? So, how they split out Mercs Recon into two different boxes, they're doing the same thing here. So, you have two different options here. You have Blackwall Warrens and Shores of Canis. Blackwall Warrens, and they don't really interact. Blackwall Warrens is if your characters are becoming, turning to the dark side, and Shores of Canis are if your characters are turning to the light side.
Hmm, interesting.
Yep. They each have a new specialty hero, new bad guys to go along with it. So let's look at the pledge levels. What can you get? So for $6, you can get in for just the printed materials, and that's for the original myth. That's a printed version of the second edition rules, new versions of the hero cards, new item cards, a new trap deck, new monster cards. Now, I personally didn't think that there was anything wrong with those cards before. However, they did have some problems and there was some confusion. So they've kind of reworked them all to be a little more straightforward and a little more clear to people.
Hey, for $6, that's pretty nice.
You know what? If you wanted to get the PDF, because the second edition rulebook is available for a PDF, and you can print it out yourself. But for what it's going to cost you to go down to like your local Staples or Office Max and print it out, and to get the rest of the stuff printed out, you're going to be spending more than $6. So, yeah, $6 is actually really decent. Each one of those box sets, you can buy them individually for $60. No surprise there. And then you can buy both of them, which has both sets, plus that $6 of rules, for $120. And this is where your Kickstart, this is where all of your stretch goals start. And then, you can buy two of them. And so, are they throwing in a buttload of minis like they did the first year, or for the first one? The answer is yes. So we have a Kickstarter exclusive hero known as the Monk. We have some new mechanical bad guys, a mechanical boss, and this is all stuff that's been unlocked. Mechanical boss, an arachnid commander, so this can play back with your original Myth game. A commander for the orcs, or whatever they call them. They've got a app. I know it just says iOS, but it will be coming for Android as well. And they've also, so as I told you, the heroes can go to the light side or they can go to the dark side. And they've unlocked miniatures for both of these heroes. So instead of using that hero from the original base game, you can use a miniature that more reflects the direction they're going. And they've done that for all of our basic heroes. So,
Nice.
this guy becomes more of a tanker versus if he goes dark, he becomes just more of a damage dealer. There's the Acolyte. He's turning in more, good side, he's turning more into a paladin. Dark side, he's becoming a necromancer. And he's actually he's gaining his vision back. Your rogue character, he's either becoming more roguey or he's coming out of the shadows, and who knows what's going on there. Archer, she becomes a mega archer if she's good. If she's going bad, she turns into more of like a dual wielding pistol and sword type of person. And then the adept, become kind of more like a mage type character, or he becomes an elementalist, which means he can actually turn into different elements. So he becomes like the avatar of fire and becomes like this fire golem type creature.
He turns into a bit of a badass.
Yeah, he kind of goes crazy. So some slimy creatures. Can't have a fantasy game without slimy creatures. Random bosses, more slimy stuff. We have new agents that we're going to be having to deal with. These were, in the base game, these were kind of like your dark heroes, so they were extremely challenging, and they would show up from time to time. New allies, some skeletons, more allies, a new bad guy.
Just more miniatures than you can handle.
Yes, exactly. So, and they've still got plans for playing more. I guess we're getting fish people next. So, and I mean the miniatures look great. So they've I mean, they're really cool looking. It's no surprise because the last ones look really cool.
Well, this is also a company that doesn't really do 3D printing. They are more traditional sculpting company.
That's correct. Now, Myth has said that they actually did all of the sculpting in-house. This isn't exactly true because I know some people and I've watched them working on a few of these minis, and they don't work for Mercs, so or Megacon or whatever they call themselves now. But that doesn't really matter. The fact is these were actual physical sculpts that were then being turned into models, the old-fashioned way. So we're going to be getting new loot. You're actually going to start having like armor sets or weapon sets. What else? There's a swashbuckler, the new hero for the good guys, the outsider, the new hero for the bad guys.
So it looks like I mean, you're gonna get a good amount for what you're going into.
Yeah, just like last time, you're gonna have a lot of bang for your buck. Now, okay, so now what we're looking at is we look at the add-ons and we start talking about all of their modules. And this is Myth has gone over. You know, before it was kind of hard to understand like when a story started, when it stopped. Well, now what we're seeing is they're just modules. So you have kind of like a self-contained story. So you say, we're going to play Fury of the Fireborn. You know, you go and get this discrete pack. It has mission cards. It has all the models you need, a couple unique tiles. You sit down, shuffle the cards, and away you go. And I guess if you want to, you can take a couple of modules and you can mix them together. So you have two things going on. And all in all, they're going to have 8 modules unlocked, hopefully unlocked during this Kickstarter. So, just looking at Alan, what are you thinking?
I mean, yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, if nothing else, $6 to get you in uh, for previous backers. It's a good deal. I mean, my only concern is they haven't shipped out Mercs yet.
Yes.
And I mean, we've seen the. I mean, that's what they did before. Right as they were hitting the warehouse, they pushed out the Mercs campaign, and so this is going to be the third one back to back to back.
It really gives you the feeling that Megacon games are living from Kickstarter to Kickstarter.
And which might be true. But we've seen I mean, I've read a few articles. Uh, Exploding Kitten, or yeah, is that what it's from Oatmeal? The um, exploding kitten Kickstarter.
Yes.
They were people were saying, "Oh, this guy's going to be making money over hand over fist," and it's like, no, that's not reality. All all this money going in goes towards your product, and hopefully, hopefully at the end of the day, you actually have something you can make money with after you shipped everything out. But yeah, that's a fine line you draw, just going Kickstarter after Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let me tell you the problem. Let me tell you the problem I have with this Kickstarter. Okay. Now, I'm not telling anybody not to back this. I'm not. These are just my opinions, and this is me sitting there looking at the numbers, right? So let's say I look at all these miniatures and I say, "Wow, this is this is great. I'm getting a great deal. There's a lot I can do with these things. $120, sign me up," right? Now, that gives me the 2 discrete expansions plus all this extra stuff. Now they've started throwing all of these new bad guys at you. Like, we're going to see the Fishmen. Like these guys. We have the slimes. We have those robotics guys, even all the way to the beginning, right?
Mhm.
So where do you use those guys in this game? You don't. You don't. What they've done is they've actually taken, these guys are specifically used in this story module, which now, if you want to use that, you have to buy that story module as well.
So you're committing yourself to more products than you can use.
Right. So now I have all this, I'm getting all these miniatures, but I can't really use them. So if I want to spend more, so if I want to actually use them in a meaningful way, I now have to go down and I have to, and let's just say I just want to do this one. Well, that's an extra $30. Or let's say I just want to do this one. That's an extra $40. I can go and I can buy all of them for an extra $130. So now I'm essentially having to double the amount that I was originally going to spend to actually use all of this extra stuff that I'm getting. So now let's say I'm a smart guy. Why don't I just spend, instead of spending 120 and then 130, why don't I just buy the modules, right? Not so fast, because the modules that you are buying in this Kickstarter are not the retail modules. The modules that they're offering here have the additional tiles and have the quests, but don't have all the models that you need to actually run this module. Those models that you need are going to be provided as the stretch goals in the Kickstarter.
So this is one of those, you better make sure before you commit the money to do your homework.
Yes. So be very, very aware that the way that this, you can buy in at the $120 level. However, you are almost expected, if you want to get into this, to spend $250 at a minimum. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, yeah, you bring up a good point. It's going to be uh, pleasure beware. I mean, make sure you know what you're getting into with Kickstarters because you're going to still be waiting a good 18 months before you see anything arrive at your door.
True. I know all this has got me thinking. So the whole reason I bought into Myth originally was because I wanted something essentially like Super Dungeon Explorer. That I could play with my kids as they got a little bit older. But I look at all of this and I say, well, what if they enjoy this game? What if they want to take it further beyond the base game? Well, now I have all these extra modules that I have to buy. I have all this other stuff. The game is getting very big very quickly. To the point where trying to buy this all at retail is going to get very expensive. So, is the way to properly buy into Meth, or the only way, is it going to be to start doing it through Kickstarters? Like, if you miss the Kickstarter boat, are you out?
Guess we'll see. I mean, I know tomorrow, the people who do Super Dungeon Explorer, Tabletop Miniatures, will be starting their next Kickstarter, the Ninja All Stars.
Which will have crossovers into Super Dungeon Explorer.
So yeah, so that's going to be another one that's going to be taking a lot of money.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Forgotten King, has that shipped out yet?
It is in customs right now.
With all the dock worker strikes, it's probably getting held up there too.
Yeah. So it's here in America, just 50 feet off the shore.
So what you're saying is we need to make a road trip to Long Beach.
I'm always up for a road trip to Long Beach.
Better go tell my wife. We'll
But
dress all in black. We'll go out like a little inflatable boat with
just like
canoes.
ninjas.
And yes. How better to kick it off,
There
the
we
Ninja
go.
All Stars Kickstarter, than to dress like ninjas and to get our games?
But yeah, I mean, speaking of ninjas, this was the weekend for Adepticon. So Super Dungeon folks were out there at Adepticon. Cool Mini was out there at Adepticon. It was a pretty good weekend from what I hear.
I've heard it's been a great weekend out there. You mentioned Simon. Should we look at some of the models that are coming out, or for the Crystal Breast competition?
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, the Crystal Brush competition is like the premier. Uh, it is, yeah, it's one of the more prestigious painting competitions. You have, you can go there. You can go to the Adepticon and get in, or you can go to a qualifier. And if you win a qualifying round, they'll actually ship you out there. But
Wow.
yeah, yeah, it's to to win a Crystal Brush, it's up there. It's what I'd say it would be what Golden Demon used to be.
Right. So should we take a look at some of these?
Yeah,
Do you
which
want me
one do
to?
we?
Do you want me to show pictures, or do you want to do it?
Let's see. I've got the first one queued up here.
All right. It's picture time, folks.
Here we have the the overall winner. This is the Crimson Fist First Company Captain, the large scale category. This is a scratch build, and
Sweet mother of.
I don't know how long it took this guy to paint this. I give him props. Thing looks immaculate.
This might be the nicest miniature I have ever seen. That, and that's all freehand on that cloak back there.
Oh, it's freehand
I,
everywhere, and this is a scratch build, so a lot of this was custom done. And the face looks like Daniel Craig.
it does. We have James Bond in Crimson Fist form. Holy cow! I mean, just like he's got that like colored metallic down perfect. And look at the gemstones on his gauntlet.
Yeah, this is what you're looking to step up to there, Case.
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious because the other day I was just sitting there. I was looking at some of the previous award winners from a few years ago, and I started thinking, you know, give me a couple years, I could work up to that. I maybe a crystal brush, or at least entering and competing in it. That's a reasonable goal. And then I just see this, I'm like, nope, nope.
Nah, you can still do it. Just takes time and practice.
It does, but I do have a life outside of painting miniatures. So
Did you say life or wife?
life, but it's both are true. Okay, we got to look at something else.
All
I'm
right,
about ready to give up my hobby.
this is what is this one called?
A
This is
diorama?
the High Noon. This is so these are the overall winners. This is High Noon diorama. Very nice. Yeah, very cool looking. And you can see all these photos at uh, crystalbrush.coolminiornot.com.
The cloth on him is just immaculate. I've noticed a trend lately with orcs, and that's to kind of step away from the exaggerated colors and go to a much more muted palette.
And then let's see. Here's the third one. This is Danse Macabre, uh, using Kingdom Death miniature.
I don't recognize this Kingdom Death miniature. You kind of bought into it. Do you know which one this is?
I think it's a modification. Looks like, but the miniature doesn't look familiar. It's a very well done overall piece.
Oh yeah, the skin tones are amazing. I mean, just like the whole base. I mean, that Dreamcatcher's got to be all freehand. Yeah, wow, this is just.
And yeah, those are the top three overall. And then there's several other categories you can dive into. But we were talking about this one earlier, the Coon Bikers in the sci-fi category.
You know, they're starting with a really amazing set of miniatures to begin with, but I think what really puts these up above everything else is if you look at the bikes, there's a lot of non-metal going on, like kind of that extreme chromed out look where you have an artificial horizon built into it.
Mm-hmm.
And just matching it across all the bikes just makes for an incredible effect.
Yeah, these were very well done.
I
And
mean, he hasn't really done any kind of modifications to the models or anything. They've just really, really shown what you can do.
so that's the ones I've got. What do you have any more to share?
Let me see. What was the one that I was looking at? You know, the one I really liked. Let me show this to you here. It was in sci-fi single figure. Was a Forge World Horus Lupercal. And it's kind of a takeoff of, we've all seen the 40K pictures of Horus, where he's in his black Terminator armor and he's got all the red lights shining up at him. And just look at like the fur and the cloak, I think are just amazingly well done here.
Yes, it's a very good job.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing miniature, and the funny thing is like, it shows you just how, I don't want to call them bad, but middle of the road the Forge World painters are. Because if you look at the Forge World paint, like the studio painting for this, it's nothing compared to what you're seeing here. I mean, this is the paint job that you use to sell this miniature to people. You know, the OSL looks amazing. The light source is perfect over all of the armor. The you look at the metallics on his power claw are just outstanding as well. Which it should be. This guy took first in single sci-fi mini, so probably where some of the stiffest competition is, but just amazing.
Yeah, it's Crystal Brush, so it's not just 40K. It covers everything, and yeah, you're gonna find a lot
But
of great looking miniatures.
yeah, I mean, um, this is a Dead Zone miniature, I think.
Studio McVeigh.
Okay, so yeah, it's not just 40K stuff. It's anything and everything. But yeah, again, the highlighting and the shading of this is so perfect. I have to say that I'm not a guy who likes to see blood on his miniatures. I know some people like to say, "Oh, let's just slap a bunch of gore all over them," because it usually just doesn't look good. Like it just looks like weird red paint that they've thrown on there, or it looks like it's overdone. And this is the first time I've seen gore on a miniature that I've actually liked it. So props to this guy. And to see a miniature this good only take second, it just tells you what the competition is like.
Oh yeah.
So we have to stop.
And
I'm gonna
then
start crying.
I'm gonna pull a photo from a friend. So I'm not sure exactly what this is of. Well, I know it's the Emperor. This is the Golden Throne. I'm not sure the story behind it, but this is very interesting. This was at Adepticon, and
Okay,
it's
so now is that supposed to be the Emperor that we're looking that this guy's nose to nose with, or is this part of the throne like decoration?
all the photos I've seen it call it the Golden Throne, and it's hard to tell exactly a if it's a diorama of 1-to-1 or because if you look there are some stairs and all that, so this could be uh, a very large diorama of so you can have a space marine walking around the bottom there, and this is the actual just golden throne where
Mm.
but whoever did this did an amazing job.
You kind of wonder how long it takes a person to build something like this.
Drive, it's all about drive and willingness to dedicate your time.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, this isn't like a couple months project. Like I'm not even sure you could do this in a year. But, whew, yeah, Adepticon, go, good
Next year,
place to go to. Yeah, next year.
we'll be there next year.
Yeah, yeah, we will.
Hey,
Yeah,
Chicago.
right. Yeah, the Windy City, here we come. So, well, uh, you're the one we're catching up. Is there anything else you'd like to go over before we close it out for tonight?
So you were telling me a little bit that the end times ended, right?
Yes, it did. End Times Arcane is out in stores and for digital download.
And so does that just end fantasy as we know it?
Are you fishing for some spoilers here?
Possibly.
Uh, you know let's just say they all died in the end because they did.
So this is like just a fantasy version of Lost.
Well, we don't really know. We've had word that a new edition is supposed to be coming out this summer for fantasy, and what they say in the fluff is going to be really interesting because at the end of Arcane they talk about how giant rifts open up in the land and everybody's consumed in fire and brimstone and the very fabric of space is destroyed until everything is just undone. Everything is gone. It's so fundamentally destroyed that even the chaos gods have nothing left to war over and they just move on to somewhere else. So the bad
Nice.
guys win. Um, and there's like this one weird little line at the end about like all that's left is one single man and this point of light which he grasps onto and looks into and who knows what that means? Is this going to be like one of those things where they say, and if the end times did happen, this is how it would happen? And now back to our regularly scheduled program. I don't know. Who knows? I just would love to see something like this come to 40K. I would play the crap out of that.
If the end times hit 40K,
Yeah, and even if they just said they're like, this doesn't change the fluff. This is just if it did end, this is kind of how we've always imagined it going. You know, bring back the Primarchs for one good colossal beatdown. Let poor Abaddon finally win a Black Crusade, and let the orcs go crazy. You know, the actual Tyranids finally arrive. Not just these little tendrils.
the Grey Knights open up the vault in Mars and release the dragon.
Yes, unleash the space dragon. Let's let's see it. Okay, so what is the space dragon? I was reading Mechanicum, like from the Black Library, and it just confused the crap out of me.
Uh, it's all rumors. It's not. There's no official, but apparently, what is it? The Sundering or whatever, or one between the time where there's robots everywhere. I guess before the Dark Times, they locked away a void dragon in Mars.
Right. And so, if you read Mechanicum, which is canonical now, they actually go down there. And spoiler alert, everybody, you can just turn it off now if you don't want to hear this. We have a plucky group of adventurers who go down there to actually see the Void Dragon, but like they don't actually see anything. Like it's not this physical giant dragon. It's something. It's almost this thing can kind of like bend time and space to its will, and
But
like it's
also,
there but not
supposedly,
there.
the
Can't.
void dragon is just like one of the Necron shards.
Oh, okay. So it's just a Satan, or maybe it's like a full Satan. Okay, I'm good with
It's a
that.
full Satan. 'Cause there's only about 4 Satans or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And the Necron shattered 3 of them or whatever. Okay, that's cool. It's a Satan. I'm good with that. So there's a Satan living under Mars, and the Grey Knights are protecting it or keeping it locked down.
There's the the final protocol or whatever. There's this uh, a long hallway leads to this empty room where all there is this fine wooden box with the emperor's golden seal, and only the grandmaster knows what's in it. And that's like the biggest secret or the big red button.
Mm, cool. Yeah. Oh yeah. So like in the 40K end times, let the Emperor finally die. The golden. The corpse sitting on the golden throne is finally consumed, and yeah, they ought to just do it because they would make so much money. Even if they just said it up front, they're like, whenever the next edition rolls around, it's going to be business as usual. Nothing's going to change. This is just like a one-off campaign that we're going to do for the next 6 or 7 months, just to see how the world would blow up. Oh, that would be so great.
We'll see. It could happen in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and then just end it with like, and then Marinus Calgar rolled over and woke up out of bed and said, "Oh my gosh, I had the craziest dream ever. You're never gonna believe what happened." So,
And then Fulgrim says, "Go back to bed, honey."
oh. Oh, well, I could just imagine him like in a frocky kind of moo sort of thing with curls and curlers in his hair. And
All right.
good night, everybody.
And on that bombshell, we'll end this episode. Uh, uh, thank you guys for watching. If you have anything you'd like to add or think we're crazy, put it down there in the comments below. We'll be there answering all your questions. Tell us what you think. Like this video, share it with your friends. They'll wonder why you did that. And subscribe to see more. We're going to be doing a lot of content here soon.
Oh,
Anything
we
else,
will. We
Casey?
are the new Rick roll. And as always, if there's a piece of news or a new product that you'd like to point us towards, or your company's looking to try and get the word out, give us an email at theatomicsalt@gmail.com.
Alrighty. Thank you guys for watching.
This is the Atomic Salt, and we've just blown your mind. We're back, baby!